Hi everyone, my name is Iben and welcome back to another episode of the Zoo of Ghent. I'm really happy that you're joining me again. I'm also very happy that people really liked the previous episode and I hope you'll like this one as well. In this video we're going to be looking at my take on a Latin America tropical hall inspired by the project called Edenya in Pairi, Daiza, which I personally quite like. The project is called Ibenya and it was called that way by Wyatt Andrews' workshop, a member of Bro Nation, and the rest of the community quickly wanted this to be called Ibenya as well. So here we are. Let's take a look inside. We'll start off by walking towards the entrance gate, which is really inspired by the one of Edenya in Pairi, Daiza. I really like these pieces, I think it works really well. I do think I'm going to try to make a real custom logo for the Ibenya part here, because as much as I like it, I think I can do better than this. We'll continue on and we'll move through these doors. And we'll end up in a separation area just like in the real Edenya. I still need to furnish some stuff here, but I already like where we're going. And where we're going is the first area of Ibenya. And we immediately arrive at the desert area of this tropical hall. And this view still, it warms my heart every time I'm here and I'm looking at it. It just looks so good and it really draws you in. It's a very multi-layered project and you'll see that when we'll walk through this area. But before we continue, there will be some signs that you can see all throughout this area, and these were actually a birthday present for me by Just Goron. He drew these amazing gannets, which in the Dutch language is called John of Ghent, I think is the best English translation that I can give. And these are based on the signs in both Plankendael and the Zoo of Antwerp here in Belgium. I really like that. They have an animal that doesn't really look like any specific animal, but I really wanted to have it with the Northern Gannet. So thank you to Just Goron for giving me these signs. It's really cool. We're starting off Ibenya with this open-topped reptile exhibit, and I think I'm going to try and see if I can add some more desert animals, but I already really like where we are right now. This is also inspired by the Fossa exhibit in Edenya, which also has this grotto view. Here we do have some cross viewing, but I actually like it because it really tells you where you will be going if you continue walking around in this area. It's a very simple exhibit, but again, it doesn't have to be much more than this. I just like where it is right now and I think it really works. Now if we continue our way up, we'll arrive at the Ringtail exhibit, which you can find right here. And again, this is an exhibit I also really like. It is slightly inspired by the desert area in Burgers Zoo, which is also an indoor hall that I really love. And this one has ringtails. If you look closely, you can find one over there and you can find another one over here. Now, ringtails are solitary in real life. I'm just showing two of them as a kind of temporary breeding thing. But in reality, this would be just one single enclosure for both animals. One thing I really like is this trunk sticking through the entire mesh. That just really works well. And the animals can somewhat navigate the area here. You might have seen that ringtail jumping up and flying. But it's still really nice to see that these kinds of things really work. Another thing that I really enjoy is the fact that it continues down through the other area of this desert hall, which again, it's a nice little feature that just really elevates the entire exhibit. Yeah, big fan of this. I really like the way it looks right now. Moving on, we arrive at the Koali and Peccary exhibit, and I really like the way it looks. You can see a Koali right here and a Peccary over there. And they actually have a bridge where they can cross over you and go to another side of the exhibit that isn't accessible for the guests. And if I move over quickly, you might see the Peccary move across the bridge. Let me check if we can see them. That would be really, really nice. And I think one of them is moving here. No. Well, I'll put in some footage where they do. And as we continue, we can move down this cave entrance here. And this is a really nice area too. So this is the viewing area from the cave of the open-topped reptile exhibit, and again, I really like it. It isn't super furnished, but I don't think it has to be. I do think about adding a few lamps here and there where the reptiles can sit under, but at the same time, there is a lot of sunlight coming in, and the temperature is kept at a reasonable temperature for reptiles as well. So it's a little bit I'm going a little bit back and forth on it. I want to keep it as natural as possible, but I think a heat lamp here would do wonder. And this brings me to one of my favorite exhibits in Ibenya, the shark area. And it just looks freaking amazing. We have blacktip reef sharks, we have a moray eel, and right at the back you have a zebra shark. Now, green moray eels are present in Latin America. I've read that the blacktip reef shark is also in very small areas of Latin America, if Ecuador is counted as Latin America. But I know that the zebra shark isn't. And my idea would be that the zebra shark was present in other parts of the zoos in the zoo before, and that they simply added him here so that they could still keep it. It's something that happens in more zoos, and I really like that idea. But yeah, we are inside an old sunken Mayan temple, and that is entirely inspired by the exhibit in Pairi Daiza. It's really, really cool. I know that a lot of people really like more naturalistic exhibits, but there's just something about a sunken exhibit like this. It just looks so cool, and it looks even better in real life. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. Now, before we'll continue through the shark tunnel, there is a way that we can go up here. And let's do that before we go on to the next area of the zoo. This leads us to another viewing area of the Peccary and the Koali, which you can see right here. Now, I am trying to keep this area as realistic as possible, but at the same time, this is a zoo game and I want things to be the way that I want them to be. So I use a lot of hidden hot grass, but I do need to add a little bit more, especially in this area and in this area. As someone on Goron's server pointed out, peccaries will basically try to eat anything, and I need to make sure that these plants are going to survive. So I need to find ways to add some sort of hot grass or some sort of protection here. But I already really like it. I think the combination is really cool. And again, the view from here is really, really nice. You had some cross viewing at the start, but because of this plant here, it doesn't distract you as much as it could be, which is something that I really, really enjoy. Another thing that I really enjoy is the fact that from several areas in this tropical hall, you can still see the buildings of the city. Just like here, you can see like multiple buildings right here, and it just grounds the entire project, and I really enjoy that. We'll continue moving up, and we'll see another one of those signs telling people not to climb on the rocks. And that takes us to the last desert animal in this area, which is this exhibit. And the prairie dog exhibit is really, really cool. So it almost looks as if there's not a ditch, but there is one keeping the prairie dogs from moving out. And you can see the Chinese building right here in the back, which I also really, really like. I like these kinds of... It's not really a weenie because it's not as prominent as weenies are in theme parks, but it does give you something to walk towards. It does give you something to think about, and like, oh, I want to go to that building that is hidden in in the back. So yeah, really like this exhibit as well. It's not super spectacular or anything, but I like the fact that it looks like there's a sudden drop off here that keeps the animals in place, which is really, really cool. And as always, we do have the signs here again, telling people not to touch them and not to feed them. But now this is probably the moment that you're waiting for, the shark tunnel. Now the shark tunnel isn't that super amazing, I'm just gonna be honest here right now. I tried my best to use the tunneling method to make it seem as if you're actually, to make it seem like you're not underwater, but you're actually in a tunnel. But because of the height differences, it didn't really work, and I decided to just keep it as is. But again, this looks really, really, really cool. I'm really happy with the results. And honestly, I'm looking forward to a Planet Zoo 2, and I really hope things like this are actually possible, where we can make these shark tunnels and make these really cool things. Let's continue down and move on to the second to last exhibit that I want to show. And there you have it. It's the big Pantanal exhibit. It's entirely inspired by the Pantanal exhibit in Pairi Daiza, and it has a big combination of all kinds of different animals. You have lowland tapirs, you have the black spidermonkey, you have the maned wolf, there is a giant anteater over here, and there should be capybara as well. I really like the way it looks. It is very much inspired by the one in Pairi Daiza and the real Edenya. It has pretty much the same kind of setup with the cliff rocks, but it's just my version is just more grown in. Which is, of course, because I'm playing a game and Pairi Daiza has to actually make sure that the plants are grown in. But yeah, really like how it looks. I really like this fence as well. This was inspired by one of the videos of Just Goron. It's such a simple design, but it really works. Moving on, we'll see the last exhibit of this area, which is a sloth exhibit. Now I am using the koala based sloth, so it isn't climbing the way it should climb, but I just prefer having something that I can make custom, and I really like the fact that the sloths are just climbing above the guests. That is just such a cool visual, and it doesn't matter to me that they're not hanging upside down. This is really, really, really freaking cool. And this brings us to some other views of this area. You can already see a spidermonkey in the back. You can see the maned wolf, which is a really, really cool animal. And I tried to get some privacy areas by just adding some extra foliage. But I'm still working on this area. I want to see if I can make it better, if I can add a little bit more privacy for the animals. But as of now, I'm quite happy with the result. I think it's going to be really cool once it's completely finished. Here you can see one of the spider monkeys using the climbing frame, and it really works well. I was very surprised about it. I didn't think they were going to use it, but it's looking really well. It's working as well as I expected it to do in the best possible scenario. Oh, well, we'll ignore that. And the final view finally brings us to the capybara, which I really wanted to include as well, with a final waterfall. Well, that was our guest view. Let's take a look at the that was our guest view. Let's take a look at the top view. So as you can see, this isn't that big. It is pretty small compared to the actual Edenya in Pairi Daiza, but I try to use the space with a lot of layers and a lot of tunnels and grottos, and I think it really worked out well. One thing that I added that isn't in Edenya itself, they have one very long cliff exhibit that just has one side, whilst I made a bend here and gave it a U shape. In my opinion, that works a little bit better because it allows animals to just run away from each other, to hide from visitors that are over here and just get over here. And overall, I like it a bit more. It allows you to discover the exhibit more, which isn't really the case for the exhibit in Pairi Daiza. Brings us to the desert area, which again isn't really that big. It also isn't finished. I'm just gonna be honest with you. As you can see, I'm still working on this area. But yeah, it's a very layered exhibit, which really works well. I really hope you like it as well, because I worked hard on this area and I really hope that you liked it. As you can see, I'm working on adding some tree protectors to the cacti, and I need to add more hot grass. I don't think this is enough. But it's a good start. So yeah, I really like what I've made here. I hope you liked it too. In the future, we're going to be adding manatees. We're going to be adding a secondary area on the other side of this tropical hall, which will be inspired by the penguin aviary in Blankendal. And I'm also going to see if I can add some Andean bear. I hope you really liked this video. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Do everything you want to do, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!